I'm just an instrument, here to unmask the truth about this cesspool we call a city. In this video, I will go over everything we know about the Riddler from the 2022 The Batman movie. The Riddler, or Edward Nashton, is a serial killer and terrorist. He seeks to entrap Gotham and publicly unmask its elites and their darkest secrets. However, he did not start out the twisted serial killer that we know from the movie. He grew up in an orphanage that was formerly known as Wayne Manor. It was meant to be funded by the mayor-elect Thomas Wayne's renewal fund. However, after his murder, the fund was taken over by the corrupt politicians and police officers in Gotham City. The funds became a front to launder money, and those that could all took a piece of the pie. With little to no funding actually going to the orphanage, it began to have harsh living conditions. Young Edward was housed in a room of over 30 children. Rats roamed freely, and it was not uncommon for babies to die from the cold temperatures. But Bruce, being the center of attention as the orphan of Gotham, made Edward grow resentful towards him, and the fact that he still lived comfortably in Wayne Manor. At a young age, he did share a glance with Bruce Wayne, who smiled back at him. However, he took this as Bruce looking down upon him for having more money and being more privileged than he is. Furthermore, from a young age, he was neglected and shunned by his peers for his love of riddles and puzzles. Edward would grow to feel superior to everyone around him that thought he was invisible. At age 17, Edward had a job as a delivery person for an Italian restaurant. He used this money to help pay for school. One day during this time, he noticed an illegal race was going on with a group of rich teenagers. Because of his anger towards the elites and rich of the city, he planted an explosive in one of the cars, hoping to cause harm and maybe even cause a pileup of cars on the road, but the plan ended up falling apart and failing in the end. After this, he would go on to choose a career in forensics and accounting, but deep down, Edward continued to be angry about the circumstances that he grew up in. He would then decide to destroy his old home at Gotham Orphanage. He snuck into it one night and pulled the fire alarm to spare the children inside. Shortly after, he doused it in gasoline and burned it entirely to the ground. He felt empowered by this and was inspired to continue down this dark path, and he would then begin to incorporate leaving clues and riddles at his crime scenes. Thus, the Riddler was born. It is not entirely clear how, but during this time, he would gain the knowledge of how the renewal fund was used by the corrupt elite. As well, he would learn about the rat Carmine Falcone, who secretly runs the city behind the scenes. It is probably because he worked in both accounting and forensics that he was able to find out these dark secrets about the city of Gotham. Soon after this, he would create his plan of clues, riddles, death, and destruction. It took some careful planning, but he was ready to enact this plan to expose the dirt of the city. His targets would include the mayor, the district attorney, a cop, Carmine Falcone, and Bruce Wayne, all of whom he blamed for his childhood and the corruption of the city of Gotham. During this time, he also would come to believe that Batman was a fellow crusader in his goals. He purposely tried to seek him out and share and expose the dirty secrets of Gotham at the same time. He would do this by leaving secret notes and clues to the Batman at each murder scene. The Riddler hoped that he could lead Batman to the truth, and then they could eventually become fellow watchers of vengeance. He wanted them to share watching the city flood from hell, or more commonly known as Arkham Asylum, a perfect place to watch the city fall. He planted bombs that would blow up the seawall and flood the city, while his followers exacted revenge on the people of Gotham. They would do this by performing a mass shooting where the people gathered to avoid the flood. However, he did misjudge Batman. Batman was not interested in enjoying the destruction of the city together. Because of this, the Riddler attempts to taunt Batman and claim that Batman is not as smart as he once thought he was. However, when Batman does learn about the plan and is able to stop it for the most part, the Riddler loses complete control of his emotions and composure, thus showing that he is actually extremely fragile and insecure on the inside. Those are the main story points of the Riddler in the movie The Batman, but what are his abilities? The first is that he is of genius level intelligence. He has a natural gift to solve puzzles, riddles, and is a master at playing mind games. He is an expert tactician. He is able to create a cult of incredibly dedicated followers, willing to murder and do virtually anything for him. He is also an explosive expert. We do not know exactly where he learned these skills, but it is most likely self-taught. His first attempts to blow up a car at 17 was a failure, but he later blew up an entire seawall with ease, thus showing an increase in his skill over time. He is able to install a virus onto a thumb drive and probably has a certain level of computer skills, although it is unclear if he had help from one of his cult followers for this specific task. He is also a skilled marksman, being able to hit and kill Falcone from a pretty far distance away with a single shot. He is also able to self-build virtually any equipment that he needs, such as an explosive collar or any type of torture device, thus showing a high level of skill in craftsmanship. But those are my breakdown of his abilities. Please give me your thoughts on the Riddler from this movie. Thanks for watching and have a great day.